We're live. All right. Welcome into another episode of Blindside Sports. And you could tell by the title, he had to come back for round two. Nick Wright, who I've realized, obviously there's two Nick Wrights that are, kind of this one who's been on the show and works for a TV show and spews Charger hot takes. And then obviously the Nick Wright that we all know and love or hate, depending on it, the TV Nick Wright. And we were talking before the show. Something I realized is the Nick Wrights are they're very similar people, but they're not, because they're both born in October. They're both fans of teams in the AFC West. They both work on TV. I mean, different aspects of TV. This Nick produces TV shows. The other Nick is spewing his hot takes. So, maybe they're similar. But Nick Wright had to come back for round two. He's ready. I'm sure you're feeling a little bit better after that Chargers win. I mean, you guys did get hammered by injuries in week 3. We'll get to that later. At is Nick Wright on Twitter. Nick, welcome back, man.
Thank you so much. And I know you're not a clickbait guy, but I keep telling you got to tease the other Nick Wright, and the views would pop up until they see my face. But
yeah, exactly.
And by the way, shout out to the he, out of all the sports media people on TV, he's easily my favorite. I love the get Nick Wright, the real Nick Wright.
Yeah, I agree. I like him and Broussard. I mean, Cowherd, I like sometimes Cowherd, but I feel like I disagree with him. Like, especially now, his takes have just gotten a little weird. I'm not really much for Skip and Shannon, but hey.
I'll say ESPN Cowherd, I think, is the best radio host of all time. I think being with Fox, he got a little more conservative. Shocker, but
yeah. I feel like too. If we're talking radio hosts, I have to put for the GOAT in is my boy Ben Maller. I mean, let's be real, Big Ben. He's so consistently good. I mean, even if I'm sure you do too. When Ben has a really crappy monologue, it sucks. But the show is always still good. I mean, it's almost insane how that works. I mean, the supporting cast of Coop, Bert Toe, and Eddie. I mean,
the guy does 4 hours a night for the last however many years. There's not a lot of radio hosts who can do 4 hours himself a night. Obviously, Coop and Roberto make the show good too. But no, Ben's top notch, top echelon.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Did you ever? We were talking about this last week. We'll get to sports momentarily. Just radio talk here. But we were talking about the radio laugh power rankings. Did you ever hear Roberto's laugh?
Yes, I did look that up.
It's so good, better than Ramos is.
And even then, when I heard, I'm like, oh, duh, I know his laugh. I don't know why I forgot the other week, but yeah.
Yeah. Ramos is a GOAT, man. But Roberto has a better laugh. I mean, John Ramos, that guy has his own show. The best 5 minutes on FSR, as they call it. But
absolutely.
Why don't we get started with John Ramos' favorite team here? The Los Angeles Rams and the San Francisco 49ers had their game last night.
Yeah.
And, I'm starting to realize something with the Rams, Nick. I think they're a little hungover, from that Super Bowl. I think the Rams are a little bit in trouble because, I mean, yes, they're 2-2. I mean, they lost to the Niners last night. It wasn't pretty. But what makes me say this is it seems like they're playing Madden, bro. Like spamming Cooper Kupp. It's like there's a one-trick pony on Madden. 14 receptions last night. I believe he had 4 against the Cardinals in week 3, which was his only kind of down week. He had 11 in week 2, 13 against the Bills. It seems like they're kind of a one-trick pony. The line is horrible, as Arnie would say. It's terrible. I mean, they got eaten up last night by that Niners team. And also, another weird kind of stat about this is that defense did not put any pressure on Jimmy G, it seems like.
No.
Jimmy G had a field day. And what I will say about the Rams is, I mean, Matthew Stafford had that costly pick 6. I'm gonna go a little conspiracy here. Wouldn't be shocked if his elbow's a little hurt. It kind of went by the wayside after August 30th, but I still think he's battling it a little bit. And it's just the Rams, man. They're in trouble. But what I will say is the only other real team in that division is the Niners. My Seahawks. Geno Smith's been great. We'll talk about that later. Can he keep it up? Question marks. The Cardinals, I mean, the new Call of Duty comes out right when D-Hop comes back, so it's probably going to get even worse. I mean, they played the the Panthers, who I didn't put this on the notes. We'll have to get to them later. What a crapshoot. But my point is, the Rams, I think they're going to win this division still, or at least keep it close with the Niners. I mean, I won't be shocked if the Niners went past. But if we're talking any playoff success here, any at all, with the way that this is going through the first 4 weeks, and week 3 or week 4 is when you can first start to get your little reads on this team or on any team. I don't know if they can, with the way they're playing right now, Nick, they're not making it far in the playoffs at all. I mean, week 1 against the Bills, all right, you can blame that on rust, whatever, right? They got mollywopped. Week 2 against the Falcons, they won that, but they almost blew it. Week 3 against the Cardinals, they won that one too. I mean, Alligator Arms Murray, as Big Ben says, was not on it. I mean, it was like, what, 20-12 or something? Like, the offense for the Rams was not there. And then we had last night's game. So for me, I think the Rams, they need to figure out their offense more. Cooper Kupp is great. I'm not going to deny that. But
He's
it seems like
the best receiver in the league, Emmett. Come on.
Yeah. I mean, Devontae.
I don't think it's close, by the way. But
no. Yeah. But I feel you have Allen Robinson, you have Tyler Higbee. You know, you need to figure out your line. Because, I mean, what was it, 7 sacks last night? How many times was it? 7 times Matthew Stafford got brought down? There's a lot of work the Rams team needs to do. Nick, what you got on this one, man?
I think there's something wrong with Stafford's arm. And I think the Rams organization is hiding it. I think the media is hiding it. And listen, the Super Bowl hangover is a real thing. It's only the first month of the season. He looks rusty, Stafford being Stafford. And I'm not, if I'm a Rams fan, I'm still not worried. They got bailed out for their couple wins. But I just think they have a little bit of a hangover going on. I think they're going to be fine with Cooper Kupp being what he is. I think Stafford's going to catch up. I'm still just not worried about the Rams. I could be naive, but I'm not worried about them. I mean, I think Allen Robinson isn't going to be this terrible all season long. Aaron Donald gets double and triple teamed every play, and he's still a monster. Yeah. I think it's just going to take another month for them to heat up. And even though the couple teams in the NFC are surprising me, I still have faith in the Rams when it goes down the stretch there. Yeah. I really do.
Nick, you know how high I am on the Philadelphia Eagles, but their schedule's been a little bit easy. I still think they're going to overcome the hard opponents, but I feel like the Rams at, the full Ram strength with Aaron Donald and all that, rushing Jalen Hurts, I think that's going to be their biggest hurdle in the playoffs. I mean, the Green Bay Packers aren't, really, we'll get to that later, but I hear what you're saying on the Rams. And the weird thing about the Rams is, and it may sound like I'm contradicting myself here, but they always have, last year, for example, instead of, the week 1 to 4 drought, the first 4 week drought, it seemed like, what was it? Week 8, 9, 10, 11 was when they kind of had their off kind of month, I guess you can put it. I mean, Stafford was horrible in a couple of those games and all that, but they're able to come back and persevere. I don't think it's going to be this easy this year, even though the NFC is worse. I think there's going to be more. I mean, that defense is always there. I'm not saying that. I mean, you got Aaron Donald, who's the best defensive player in football, one of the all-time greats. You got Jalen Ramsey, one of the best cornerbacks. Their defense is stacked. I mean, we can name their guys all day. It's all stacked. But the offense is my main concern. Stafford needs to figure out his arm, which it's lingering. Apparently it was a thing since last Super Bowl. I mean, back when the story broke in August that his arm was an issue. So I don't know if it's going to be that simple to kind of take away, because he had that one surgery, Nick. I don't know if you remember this, but the surgery seems like it's not work. It didn't work. It didn't fix the issue. So there's just a lot of issues with the Rams. On the Emmett scale of worried, I'm not going to steal the big, but it kind of makes sense to do what Big Ben Maller does here. I'm at a 5. All right. I'm not fully the Rams are horrible, they're done, but it's something to keep a look at.
Absolutely.
It's something that, you need to keep in mind.
No, absolutely. And you know what? I'm just going to keep going back to it. The best receiver in the league by a country mile. I think Cooper Kupp is going to keep them in games every single week. And again, Allen Robinson is not going to be this terrible all year long. I just don't. I mean, I'm going to be shocked.
And they got Higbee too. I forgot to say that.
And their tight end Higbee. I mean, they're listen. First month of the year, fresh off a Super Bowl, they're going to be a little shaky. I'm just not in panic mode yet about the Rams.
How long would it take?
I don't like saying that. I don't like the Rams. They're like the Chargers are basically the Clippers to the Lakers there in that kind of scenario. So I mean, I don't want them to do well. I really don't. But I'm just not freaked out about them. Not yet.
Yeah, I mean, to see how scary they were in the postseason last year, could definitely understand that one. But why don't we move on to the?
Well, wait, real quick on it. I just got to bring, I want to get on the Niners side here.
Oh yeah. Okay, we can do that.
I think we talked about this on the last show.
We did,
but
I know where you're going.
I think I hate what happened to Trey Lance, but I think it's a little blessing in disguise. The Niners team just feels the team feels more confident when Jimmy's under center. Doesn't it just feel like that?
I completely agree. And last week we were starting, everyone was starting to get a little worried. I mean, I was like, all right, it's the first game. Jimmy played like crap, whatever. I mean, that's the thing with Jimmy G. And I said this, I was talking to Bo Benson on Twitter. We got in a little thing. And Bo, he has like 85 teams. Love you, Bo. It's true. But, he might be a future guest on this show. Bo Benson is a dad now. He doesn't have the free time to binge Elden Ring like he used to. But anyways, I told him this comparison, and it's the only way I can kind of talk about Jimmy G. Jimmy G is like that unreliable car. Sometimes it works, and when it works, man, it's beautiful. But when it doesn't work, you're screwed. It felt that first drive is like, oh yeah, we're just, going back to the Sunday night game here real fast, and I'll go back to the Niners. Jimmy G, he had that great first drive, and then it just splattered from there. But Jimmy G, they seem more confident. Debo seems in way better use than he did with the week and one drive of Trey Lance. It seems like they're starting to figure it out. They seem more chill and calm down. And I think we touched on this last episode, but if, I really don't know what I do in this situation, but if the Niners go far in the playoffs, are you considering maybe just keeping Jimmy G and trading Trey Lance? It's weird to say, but if the Niners make a Super Bowl run this year, wouldn't be shocked if it happened. I mean, I hope for the guy.
He took him to an NFC championship game last year. He got him to a Super Bowl. You cannot move off from him if he gets them to another NFC championship game or a Super Bowl. And what do you get back to your car analogy earlier? I'm going to say he's the best used car in a used car lot. He is the epitome. I think we interacted with this tweet that I did yesterday. He is the ultimate quarterback wins don't matter guy, because I think his record is something ridiculous wins to losses. It's he has he's 20 games over 500. But obviously he's not. I don't think people would say he's a top 10 quarterback in the league. No. So he gets the job done, but he has such a good team around him. He doesn't have to be a superhero like Justin Herbert or Aaron Rodgers, or you know what I mean?
I mean, would you say Mahomes has to be a superhero now? I mean, he looks like a superhero, even though he has he has a really good roster supporting cast around him. But with Jimmy G is, yes, he took him to NFC Championship. Yes, he took him to a Super Bowl, which they almost won if they didn't choke against the Chiefs.
Jimmy had that horrible pick against the Chiefs. So
Yeah. But what I will say on this is the Niners are so lucky to make it to the NFC Championship. I mean, we talked about this when you hosted with me last time. He did not play well against the Packers, man. The Packers played such dog crap.
Yeah.
Jimmy was able to
Aaron
win.
Rodgers did his classic choke job in the playoffs. That's what happened.
Yeah, we're gonna get to this later because we're both Aaron Rodgers haters, and we'll get to it. I mean, it's gonna be good. Emmett Douglas, along with Nick Wright, who claims he's the most annoying Charger, Angel, and Laker fan on Twitter. I mean, debate that yourself. I mean, you had to tweet go very viral Sunday
for nobody like me. I mean,
1,600 likes for me and you is that's pretty good.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I was debating if I should pin that or not because it got so much, but I did a tweet years ago when the Chargers were it was hard to be a Charger fan when they moved into that soccer stadium.
Carson
in
Stadium
Carson,
or whatever.
California. Yeah. It was just, and I just did a homage to every Charger fan who was still a Charger fan, even the lousy San Diegans who didn't want to partake in that move. But there's still a lot who stayed, and I just want to do an homage to that. I think that got like 700, and I thought I was a rock star. I did not see that coming. Like I have no idea what the hell happened there. So yeah.
Yeah, like I remember, when I interviewed Ben Maller, it was my like third interview. Like I interviewed Fenley, Chris Perfett, who does great work at Pride of Detroit, Jonas Knox, who's one of the, hardest working people in radio. I mean, we'll say,
and it's not close. Yeah.
And then Big Ben was my fourth interview. All those interviews did good, but Big Ben, like I got so much attention, and shout out Big Ben for what he did here. Really, I mean, he was a homie for this. He posted it everywhere on his Facebook, his Twitter. I think it was at like 1,000 views. I think like maybe 500 at least. Easily my highest performing podcast. Highest performing show was a Ben Maller one. So shout out Ben for that. Like, but the feeling of it is just like, wow. Like on Twitter, I mean, I think one of my most viral tweets lately, which got like 100 likes, it was a reply about Russell Westbrook. It was like, someone was like, make a TikTok compilation about, Russ's misses. And I'm like, you couldn't make a compilation. It would be over 3 minutes. And a lot of people like that. So yeah, it's weird, man. It's
a good one.
How like such like you put these tweets out and you think they're like, oh, this is such a good take, only gets like 1 like, and then you put like, I'd say a pretty obvious tweet out there, like you with the Herbert.
That's my thing.
1,600 likes.
I probably average 2 likes a tweet if you go by like a day by day thing. Like I just thought that was going to be another 1 to 2 like thing. How it spiraled to that, I have no idea. But
I think it's just the
algorithm. It was the most obvious thing too. It's the most obvious tweet in the world, and that just blew up. And I don't know.
Yeah.
But, do you want to get into the Chargers now, or do you want to go next?
We'll save those for a little bit later. Now I want to go. I know I said we're going to go second with something else, but the Ravens-Bills game was interesting here on Sunday. I mean, the Ravens were mollywopping the Bills 20-3 at the half, and then obviously the Bills did not.
By the way, just real quick, I like how you use Kevin Figures mollywop.
Oh, I love it's such a good word. I shouted him out like a long time ago for it, but no way he's listening. He's such a busy guy, but K-Fig, that it's beautiful. I mean, that's like his trademark right there. I mean, Brian Finley is like the verb king. I mean, Brian smash a piano, like no one's gonna beat Finley on that. But K-Fig mollywop, it works, man. K-Fig's great. AM 570 legend, Fox Sports Radio.
Oh, when I first started at Fox Sports Radio, we would park in this one certain parking lot, and he'd always walk out with me and just kind of like just chit chat and stuff like that about life and things like that. He's also, I didn't bring that up the last time I was here, but he's definitely one of my favorite people that I've ever met too. He's just a great guy.
Oh, K-Fig, yeah, it's not like official that like it's the fellows with Anthony Gargano and K-Fig, but he's basically the new Lincoln Kennedy on that show, and it's great.
The guy works like 7 days. He's the producer of Rogan and Rodney, one of my favorite shows as well.
FNA show podcast, which is great.
Yeah,
go check that out with Adam Mosley.
Yes, sorry.
Even though he's a Clipper fan, but hey,
he does updates at Fox Sports Radio on the weekends. It's like that guy just moves. He just moves.
Yeah, and he has a wife too. I don't know how he does it.
Yeah,
and I mean, last year he wasn't really. He took like every other weekend off, but now like this year he's in his zone. Like he's doing his thing. He only does the one overnight. I don't know if he might have another gig. It's K-Fig, after the Friday overnight shift. But man, what a legend. Back to the Bills and Ravens here.
Yeah.
There wasn't really much to this game, but John Harbaugh pulled a Brandon Staley in the fourth quarter and went for it on fourth down. Yep, it happened, man. So what, it's obvious. I mean, this could have been a really good game for the Ravens to steal, and such a crappy decision screwed it for them. I mean, if they went upset Josh Allen and that Buffalo Bills team, it would be probably one of the number one stories in media. Like everyone, there's some people are very high on the Ravens, like Rob Parker and CB, Chris Broussard. A a lot of people are high on the Ravens, but if they went to steal that Buffalo Bills game, man, that would be such a talking point. I mean,
it would be, but guess what? He tried to pull a Brandon Staley because that's like the new age thing now is going for 4th when you don't need to.
I call it big balls, Harbaugh.
Yes, yeah. and it's just take the points.
You have Justin Tucker. He's not going to miss it.
He's the best kicker ever, maybe. So
okay, what I will say, to kind of defend the Chargers for what they do here is their kicking luck is kind of bad. But for the Ravens, you literally have no excuse. You have Justin Tucker, one of the GOATs of kicking, if not the GOAT. That guy is crazy. He can make he doesn't shank. I don't know what it is. He's perfect, not literally perfect. But he only misses like one or two, maybe 3 kicks a year. He's automatic. I don't know what that was. That was crappy thinking by Harbaugh. And this is something that coaches need to stop doing. I mean, there's a time and a place to go for it on 4th down. Don't get me wrong. But when you're tied at 20 with the Buffalo Bills and a game-winning field goal could
take the points.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong.
Lord, man.
Was it guaranteed they're going to win that? Who knows? Josh Allen's incredible. But the odds of that field goal, winning it is higher than going for it. I mean, what does that show to me? Do they not trust their defense? Obviously, a touchdown's better than a field goal, of course. I'm not going to disagree with that. But in that situation, the field goal is the way to go. So you kind of have to wonder, does John Harbaugh not trust his defense?
Or does he not trust the best kicker in ever?
I honestly don't. If anything, I'm going to go defense because if you can't trust Justin Tucker, then you should be fired.
Well, yeah.
Justin, he's so good.
We got to talk about this too. I mean, I'm a big Lamar Jackson fan. I love Lamar Jackson.
I love running quarterbacks.
All that stupid stuff where he's just a running back playing quarterback is just nonsense. It's absolute nonsense.
He's whipping the ball around this year.
Yesterday he had a
pick.
He had a pretty bad game yesterday. That's why I'm surprised Harbaugh
was it 2 picks?
He had a couple picks, only he had less than 200. Yeah,
didn't he fumble too?
44 yards. It was a very un-Lamar-like game.
No.
And that's what shocked me even more why Harbaugh went for it. It was just great. I don't know. That was just wild to me.
Yeah, I think it's just I don't think he has too much trust in that defense, which is kind of unfortunate.
Emmett, do you think Baltimore should pay Lamar? He's going to get a big contract.
Look, this is I said this at the beginning of the year, and running always, giving a Deshaun Watson type contract to me for a running quarterback is a little risky, especially long term. Injuries are a thing. But if I'm Lamar Jackson, if I'm in the player's mindset here, a guy like Deshaun getting that much money, of course I'm going to go for it. And I think this is a year where Lamar is going to prove himself. If he keeps up what he's doing the first 3 weeks consistently, he's getting that contract. And then I can actually argue for him to deserve it. I mean, last year and the year before that, he still had good years, but they weren't as good as they usually are. I mean, he did have Ronnie Stanley, one of his best linemen, out for a while. The Ravens can't catch breaks with injuries. I mean, no running backs at all last year. J.K. Dobbins got hurt really fast. Gus Edwards got hurt really fast. They
lost
catch
Hollywood
breaks.
Brown. Because that's one of his best friends. So I mean,
and he seems better without Hollywood for the first 3 weeks.
My thing
Devin Duvernay is a god.
What's your secondary? This is what's crazy. Why a lot of Ravens fans and media people say don't pay Lamar. Okay, so what's the Ravens going to do then? What are they going to do then? What is their backup option? Literally
Tyler Huntley.
Nothing.
But can you trust him? Did you see? All right. You remember when this all went back in August when we were all talking about this? Do you remember when it was Arnie Spanier and George Reister? Those are the two people who had these takes. They were saying,
I'm jealous of his last name. I wish I had his last name, not mine.
Yeah. Well, Chris Broussard calls him George Wrongster, so But he goes on. He's on Twitter. He's I want if you're the Ravens, you have to consider trading Lamar and using Tyler Huntley. And look, Tyler Huntley. What I will say about him is he was actually really surprisingly when he played those couple games last year. he did better than I expected, but like Lamar Jackson at his full strength, like we saw J.K. Dobbins had a good game. Like when everything's working, man, Lamar's a beast. I mean, we know that. It's like I just was like, wow, man, that's that. How about that? Like Tyler Huntley, it's not like you're not going to be in too much trouble, but compared to Lamar, of course, I'm taking Lamar.
The Ravens have to sign. I mean, here's the thing: they messed up like the Cowboys years ago by not signing Dak before he got his contract. They could have got Dak cheaper if they didn't wait. And now the Ravens are waiting, and they're going to end up paying more of a contract than what they could have done maybe 2 years ago. So the Ravens are screwing themselves.
Because what goes on with this is the like one quarterback gets like a huge bag and then everybody has to follow. So if someone gets a huge contract next offseason, then Lamar's going to want what that quarterback got. Yep. And then you're going to end up giving yourself more salary cap issues if you're the Ravens in the long run. I mean, even though Devontae, like now it came out that he wanted to, team up with Derek Carr, and move over to Vegas.
Yeah, how's that? I
mean, Aaron Rodgers kind of like the Packers, if they were to try and pay Devontae and Aaron Rodgers like money they like wanted and like Devontae deserved, then holy crap, man, that they like I don't think they could do it, right?
No,
like it was not. So like you have to realize too, as a team, if you're a player, of course you want to get this trend-setting money, but as a team you have to think about it that way too. Can we lock up our star players that support Lamar Jackson, right? I mean, if J.K. Dobbins, he's still young, but in the next couple of years, I mean, if he can show himself that he's something behind Lamar, they're going to have to pay him. I mean, you're going to have to pay Duvernay too in a couple of years if he keeps it up. I mean, maybe you go for a true number one option for Lamar, like in the offseason next year or this coming up offseason, you get, your next Hollywood Brown that's even better. I mean, there's ways they could go to help out Lamar, but you have to kind of keep that in mind. It's not just Lamar, or it's not just Aaron Rodgers. It's not just a quarterback. You need to like lock up everybody, and they need a supporting cast. That's my point.
I get you, but for any NFL team, if you have a stud quarterback and Lamar's an MVP, that's just plain option step number one. You lock up that quarterback. You lock him up. I know it's risky, but you lock him up because the backup option is just not good.
Yeah,
and
I hear you.
You can find receivers in the draft. You can find receivers in free agency. You can get those guys. Number one, the Ravens have to lock up Lamar because there's just they'll be irrelevant without him. Irrelevant,
especially with Deshaun Watson coming back, and then the Bengals are going to be relevant. And who knows what happens with the Steelers and Kenny Pickett, but by next year or the year after that. I mean, we've only seen a glimpse of them. Who knows what could actually happen with that? I mean, they have to do it for their division's sake, but it's just something you have to kind of keep in mind as an NFL team. I mean, Devin Duvernay and like that whole receiving core is pretty young, so you can maybe get away with not paying him for a little bit. I think that is going to happen because, their rookie deal. I feel like third and fourth years when younger players ask for more money. I mean, I feel like it's due. I feel like Justin Herbert's going to ask for a bag this offseason.
I'm so glad you brought that up because I was going to actually sneak that in at the end of this convo here. Justin Herbert's going to be the highest paid quarterback in the league very soon.
I actually agree with that. That's not even a Homer Charger take. I mean, and we, Rob G, you were getting into it with him on Twitter earlier, at the producer RG. He has hot takes too. I mean, if you like Twitter hot takes, Rob G is another one to follow. But yeah, he was like, oh well, there, that hasn't led to playoffs yet. I'm like, you said it last week. You can start to criticize him after 3 years. If he doesn't make the playoffs this year, then okay, maybe you have a point. But the way, I mean, he's a superhero. Literally, he's like leading the league in passing yards and all of that. He deserves his contract, man. The Chargers are gonna give it to him. The Chargers are gonna keep him happy. They do it every year. They bring in these guys that are gonna help him out. They're gonna do anything to keep Herbert.
I love Rob G. I love Robert Guerra. That's why I'm so glad he interacts with me and cares kind of about me on Twitter because the debates we've had back in the control room were just epic and I miss it. But I was slightly annoyed earlier because yes, he says Herbert's elite, but he says he doesn't win the big games. So it's kind of like, I mean, what are you saying here? And guess what? Look at the stat. I just want to bring up this stat right here. So the last 2 years, the Chargers had a bottom 3 defense. Herbert literally had to put up 30 points a game to get a win. And look what's coming up against the week, against the Browns.
The Browns.
Chargers number 1 in the NFL in passing. Shocker. With broken ribs, Justin Herbert is leading the league in passing. That's ridiculous. Yep. Oh, but here's the kicker. The defense is giving up 27 points a game. 30th in the NFL. So guess what? Guess what that means? Herbert with broken ribs is going to have to drop a 30 bomb or more to win a game again this season for the Chargers.
Yep. And
it's not
Nick Chubb's going to be there. I feel like, without Joey Bosa, that kind of puts you kind of line to a big disadvantage. I mean, Jacoby Brissett, like, he's not like Justin Herbert level, like he's gonna give the Chargers a challenge. And like, the guy, if I were a Chargers fan or a Charger coach, a guy that I game plan to stop is Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. Those guys are brutally good.
That's gonna wreck. I mean, Joey Bosa is a great run stopper, and I just have a bad feeling that Chubb is gonna run wild on that defense, and I'm scared to death of it. I really am.
And you have a Nick Chubb who's great, and then if he, say he gets a little tired, needs a little break, Kareem Hunt is still going to run amok on you guys. I mean,
yep,
it is, and that's kind of why, like, the Browns a couple of years ago with all this, everyone healthy and all that. That's why they were scary, man. I mean, 2 elite tier running backs on one team, and I'm shocked it's lasted this long. I'm surprised that Hunt like actually hasn't like sat out and like demanded a trade, because Hunt could be very elite as a number
I believe
one.
He did over the summer. I think he did, but he
demand a trade.
I believe he did. Kareem Hunt did try to get traded during the summer.
Yes, but he did not hold out. It did not. Right. It was like a topic of discussion at the beginning of August, like August 7th, I think, because I remember like doing a show that day, and it lasted for like 3 days, not even, and then it just went by the wayside. Like Kareem Hunt. He could go to a team and he's like the Cardinals have Kareem Hunt as their number 1. He's elite. James Conner, I'm not really buying. Like, I don't think he's like Kareem Hunt level. Like, there's teams that could use the services of Kareem Hunt. And, we'll get to the Chargers because we started talking about Herbert and we started going on a rant previewing the game.
Off the rails. My bad.
Off the rails. Who? Oh, yeah, it was Harmon who did it. The Off the Rails with ILO segment a couple years ago. I was trying to remember. Because that sounded very familiar. Ilo, who do you check out his Charger work? Because he does a pre and post game for AM. No. Okay, I don't either because I don't care about the Chargers, but I do. They're like I'm a big Herbert guy, but like our teams play at like the same time, so I'm more focused on the Seahawks usually.
Of course,
but the one time, man, Ilo just play by play, and I remember a couple years ago when the COVID was at its prime, missing 2 weeks because you got it type stuff. Matt Money Smith, who does the commentating for the Chargers, host with Petros Papadakis, who I love Petros, man. That guy's hilarious. But
by the way, just side note, my favorite radio show of all time is Petros, and he follows me on Twitter, and that's like my favorite Twitter moment ever. Anyway.
Yeah. I think one of mine, is Jonas follows me. That's cool. The Josh Impression guy just followed me like right as the show went live.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So I mean that's a big step. I might actually have to get him on. That guy on Twitter suggests that was a great idea.
You're on the come up, man. I'm telling you, you're on the come up.
Yeah, thanks, man. Thanks. Who knows? But hey, the TikTok clips that I post and Instagram clips, I think they help. But over to the Charger stuff here.
Sure.
Austin Eckler, I know it was one game against the bum-ass Texans, but
I was about to bring it up. I'm glad you are.
He finally did it, and I was so happy. One of my fantasy leagues. I know people
Me
are
too.
say, I don't care. I have him. It was in that league. I was not doing hot because of Austin Eckler. He cost me 3 matchups. Finally had a good game. Dropped 31 points in my league. Had a couple touchdowns.
3.
He put the Chargers on his back, man. And that's what they need. I mean, Justin Herbert, he's a superhero. A superhero can't do everything. I mean, yeah, he's going to do 95% of the things, but Justin Herbert being the superhero he is and having a full strength Austin Eckler, be careful, defenses. That's all I'm going to say.
And that's why I want to bring up.
This I expected the Chargers to be, Nick.
When you brought up Chubb and Kareem Hunt, that's my only solace going into the next week is that if Austin Eckler is back, like he played against the Texans, I mean, I'm going to feel pretty good. I'm going to feel really good. I think he's finally – I don't know what happened in the first 3 weeks. It was terrible. It was horrible. I thought he fell off a cliff, but he had a resurgence. So if he plays like this weekend, then the Chargers are going to blow the Browns out. We just got to see. Oh, and guess what I'm going to bring up again? Our offensive coordinator, Joe Lombardi, who's literally maybe the worst OC in the league, and Justin Herbert is still putting up the numbers that he's doing. And to give him credit, Joe Lombardi has come out and said that he's too conservative. He needs to do better. So if that starts to happen and he's now realizing what he's doing wrong, and he has been doing it wrong for years now, I think the Chargers could just turn a mountain. Again, the Chargers are 2-2. They should be 3-1 because they got screwed against Kansas City at Kansas City a couple weeks ago. They should have won that game. They really, really, really should have won that game. So I want to be cautious, even though the Chargers feel like the best 2-2 team in the league right now.
No, my Seahawks do. No, I'm joking.
Oh, yeah. I want to get into Geno, too.
We'll do that later.
Shock of the year so far with Geno Smith.
Right. But, yeah, that's the thing. The Chargers, they are always – like, besides that the Jaguar game, which was – horrible, which I mean that was Justin Herbert playing with broken ribs, and what did he drop? Like, well, I don't remember his exact yardage, but he still kind of, for how much of a blowout that was. I mean, he still had a good game, and that with his broken ribs, that was at probably the prime of his broken ribs. Like,
yes,
like a week and a half after the injury, that was definitely the prime. And it's that defense, man. I mean, 38, you drop like a 40 burger to Jacksonville.
Yeah, Taylor Lawrence finally looked like the quarterback we were all promised.
Yeah, and then last week, kind of against the Eagles, didn't look like the Trevor Lawrence from that like we were promised. But the other, like the first couple games before this Eagles game, I was like, oh, but it's one game. It happens. I'm not gonna dismiss Trevor Lawrence after that. I mean, they still kept it relatively close, even though he had all those turnovers. It was still a 29-21 game.
I mean, Trevor Lawrence was promised to be the next Andrew Luck prospect.
Yes.
And I think he is not getting remotely close to the criticism they should be getting. Yes, did he rock my Chargers and beat them down? Yes, big time. But I don't see what everyone else is saying. He deserves a lot more criticism for being anointed the next golden boy in the league. I need to see a lot more from him.
Yeah, I will in a lot of the stuff that I see on Twitter that why people aren't criticizing him is Urban Meyer last year. So I feel like he's gonna get a pass for this year. I mean that it was so no matter what you say about Urban, I'm sure the locker room mechanics there for those first 12, maybe after week 4 when the first bad Urban story dropped when he went to party or what did you get? Go to a bar and not fly back with the team after they got blown out on prime time against the Bengals. That's when it really started to get bad. So I'll give Trevor that, but still, man, I mean, I feel like if he doesn't pick it up this season, he's gonna get criticized. And because I feel like he is getting the year pass because it was such a bad situation last year. I mean, if you agree with it or not,
right. Yeah.
If you agree with that or not, I mean, I'm sure some people disagree. But if he give it until after this season, and if he continues not to be the Trevor Lawrence that we were promised, like an Andrew Luck, or look, even he's not gonna be an Andrew Luck immediately, but if he doesn't show promise, lots of promise, then we have every right to criticize him.
Absolutely. And last year, that was one of my biggest gripes last year. Is that he had Urban Meyer and it was just that whole organization. It was just a clown show year. I just didn't see one.
Wait, what? Hold on. we have breaking news here, mate. Possibly. I'm on Twitter, Nick, and I just see a tweet.
What do we got?
Judge did it! Exclamation mark.
Oh no!
What? Hold on. It's easier for me to search on my phone here, so let's go. Nightingale's always on this.
You're right.
Yep. He did it?
Yep.
No way.
I got to delete my tweet. I tweeted the other day that he's not going to hit 62. I guess I got to delete that one real fast.
You pulled an Arnie. You kiss of death. Kiss of love, I guess, for this one. That's not the kiss, but you jinxed it.
I did. I thought I was going to. Okay.
I didn't put anything.
Or what do you want to?
It's kind of breaking, and we're a live show, so I feel like we kind of we can get away with this.
Let's do it. And guess what? He still should not even be close to the MVP.
Ooh, Nick with the hot takes. I mean, 62 homers is a lot. It's crazy.
Okay, Ohtani has 37. He has.
You're good. Ohtani 37. But the thing with Ohtani compared to Judge is Ohtani's a good pitcher too. Ohtani can pitch a ball.
I'm so glad. All right, I've been waiting. By the way, even though with all the football, I know like football is our favorite sport and everything like that. This is what I wanted to talk about the most because guess what? I got stats up the ass here. So, let's see. AL pitching WAR leaders. Ohtani, third. Shohei Ohtani has an 18-game hitting streak, by the way, and during that time, he has a .90 ERA. Okay, I've got a lot more. I'm just getting started. AL strikeout leaders, third with 213. Okay. Oh, let's. Right. I got a lot more too here, Emmett. Here we go. Okay, so pitching and hitting stats in the AL: ERA, fourth, 235. Third in strikeouts with 213. His opponent average only hitting 200. His whip is 6 with 1.03. Oh, let's go to hitting now. Hitting. He is, by the way, he has 34 home runs, not 37. Sorry.
That was 37.
Short. Okay, so that's fourth in the AL. He's sixth in RBIs. He's fifth in slugging percentage. Oh, and this is my favorite one. That should lock it up. Let's see here. Oh, remember when Justin Verlander about 5-6 years ago won the MVP as a pitcher?
Yes.
Okay. So Verlander that year had a 2.4 ERA. Ohtani's got he's at 235. He has a less whip. He has more ERAs. He has more strikeouts. And that's not counting his hitting stats.
His 38 home runs is not, or 34, sorry, is not, it's not a slouch. I mean, it's
he has
for a pitcher especially.
RBIs. And this is my thing that's driving me insane. This is why baseball is at the place that it's in. People already have Ohtani fatigue. He's better. He was a unanimous MVP last year, and he's having a better year this year. And I'm already seeing stuff on.
No one's talking about it.
And people already have Ohtani fatigue. We have never seen this in 100 years. What Babe Ruth did against a bunch of white dudes who couldn't play ball. This is ridiculous. Oh yeah, and I've said this many times. Babe Ruth is overrated as like an all-time baseball player. Wildly.
That's valid. That's valid.
Okay, well, I mean, I'm going to keep saying it. So
yeah,
keep it is ridiculous that everyone does not. I don't care. The whole wins. The fact that it's the most valuable player. It's not the most valuable player on a team that wins more. The most valuable. It switched. All right, you want to know my ace in the hole here? Are the Angels a better team if Aaron Judge is on the Angels and Ohtani's on the Yankees? Are the Angels a better team? Hell freaking no. The fact that people are already over Ohtani, it's a crime against baseball, and it's the reason why baseball is in the place that it's in. Oh, and by the way, good job, Judge. You are 7th in the home run leading season. I don't care what baseball purists, these old heads who don't count Barry Bonds, who don't count Mark McGwire, who don't count Sammy Sosa, and that literally, those McGwire and Sosa years saved baseball. the MLB would be the MLS right now if it wasn't for those home run years. Nobody cares about baseball barely at this point anymore. And I can't imagine how no one would care about baseball right now if it wasn't for those years. And it's disgusting that people discount Barry Bonds and his home run record.
Well, everybody was doing steroids, bro. Let's be real here. Let's keep it. We're two men here. All right. Who cares? Everyone was doing it. It was a steroid era for a reason. That's my gripe with all this, the Hall of Fame controversy last year was like Big Papi made it. Everyone was doing steroids. Yes, I mean, these are guys who got caught, but everyone was doing it back then, man. I'm sorry.
Exactly. And then the best of the best still showed that they're the best of the best when everyone was doing it. Like, I'll admit, when the Angels won the World Series in 2002, they beat Barry Bonds. Oh, man, who was the other guy in the Giants? Jeff Kent, I want to say his name was. I'm pretty sure it was Jeff Kent. And, Troy Glaus was juiced up the gills, too. Tim Salmon, I heard rumors about that, too. It's still the best of the best guys. No matter, like you said, everyone is taking roids. The best of the best still play better than those who were still on roids. And it should not discount records. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. And what 62 home runs is, I'm not going to say, that's not what I'm saying.
7th.
Yeah. It's 7th. But my it's impressive. I understand it. 62, cool.
It's impressive. I'm not saying it's not. It's just compared to what Ohtani has been doing this year, it's not even close. And it's just, it triggers me. I'm triggered, obviously. I cannot take that. If Aaron Judge wins the MVP, I might lose it. Straight up lose my mind.
All right, look. I believe he is winning the MVP, and it's not that I think he should, because you literally just gave us all the stats we need to prove that Ohtani's going to win this. That Ohtani should win it, not gonna. But the media has a very weird obsession with Aaron Judge, and now
he's a Yankee. That's why he's a freaking Yankee.
And now the talk is that Ohtani could leave the Angels, which, I mean, Ohtani's not he's not the guy who's gonna be out. I don't think he's gonna be I want to leave. But now they're all oh, what if Ohtani goes to the Yankees? I don't think that's gonna happen, man. I get the Angels are bad. I get they're not doing very hot at all.
No, they stink.
I just don't see Ohtani just dipping. I mean, I feel like the Angels are gonna try to do whatever they can to pay him. At least I hope. I hope.
If Juan Soto turned down what he turned down, $425 million, I think, by the Washington Nationals, the very starting, Ohtani's and his agent ain't going to walk in the room or have a conversation if the starting point isn't $500 million. That's the starting point. I think he's going to get more than that. The only problem is you pay him all that money, then how do you fill the team around the Angels? I mean, and that's the problem. Do I think they should trade Ohtani? No. But you're going to pay a guy $500 million. It's going to be hard to fill up the rest of that roster, because obviously it showed Ohtani is such a rock star, but the whole team stinks, and they have Mike Trout.
Yeah, how's that even God? That you have two of the best players in baseball on your team, and you still stink that loud. I get Mike Trout's missed a bunch of time this year. But just
and he still almost has 40 home. I think, he almost has 40 homers, I think, and he missed 50 games. It's absolutely ridiculous. It just shows that baseball is the one sport, no matter how good you are, if you have bad pitching, a bad bullpen, a bad closer, they literally, their top 5 hitters were decent. And then they have the worst bottom of the freaking roster hitting wise in the league. It's beyond a joke. So baseball, this is the only thing I have solace of, is that baseball is the one sport where you need at least 10 guys to be pretty good to even have a shot. And it's crazy to me that people think Aaron Judge is the MVP when Ohtani's doing what he's doing with the team that he has around him. It's the most valuable player, not the most valuable team.
Yeah, and that kind of goes to what two completely different sports here, but it can tie into the argument that you made with Rob G on Twitter earlier, where yes, the Angels aren't, they're not a playoff team. They're not pretty, whatever. But what Ohtani, being able to be that big of a dual threat in Major League Baseball is so impressive.
We've never seen it before.
No, and I don't know if we will ever see it again.
No, and people are already over it. You tell me baseball fans are already
one season
over it.
The 2021 campaign,
and now this season. Quiet. And now people are already over it. People already have Ohtani fatigue. It's the biggest joke I've ever seen in sports. It's disgusting, and this is why the MLB is at the place that it's at, because it is just
all they care about is the big markets, the Mets, the Dodgers, the Yankees. Even like a team like the Mariners, who hasn't made a playoff. They haven't made a playoff since before I was alive. 21 years. I feel like if and it doesn't get talked about. All we talk about in baseball, unless you're a guy like Ben Maurer, who I'm not like a baseball like nut. Like I'm not the big I pay attention to it, but I'm not like diehard like Roberto or Rob Parker. But I'd get average, maybe below average fan, especially right now because football. But
right.
What I will say is the Mariners, like what they did, I don't know. It's just not getting like the love that you'd expect because all we care about in baseball is the big markets, like the Dodgers and the Yankees and the Mets, or bigger teams. The
I'm not
Dodgers.
Gonna lie to you. I can't name one player who's good on the Mariners right now, but they're going to make the postseason. They're looking pretty good.
Yeah, Julio Rodriguez is out.
I'm an idiot.
Julio,
Julio. He's going to be a future.
Mitch Haniger's solid too. Yeah. They have their guys, man. I don't know. I don't know about how far they're going to go. They're probably going to be a first round bounce. But for Seattle, like the Seattle sports area, it's weird, man, because usually the Seahawks and the Sounders are the teams that are, in the playoffs, but I don't think the Seahawks are making it this year. The Sounders they didn't make it this year, but it's the Mariners.
Do they stink this year? I'm usually up. I'm a big Galaxy fan, so I don't like the Sounders, but I'm just not.
I don't know how bad it was because I don't really watch soccer. My dad just told me we were texting about the game the other day, and we were talking about the Seahawks game, and he was like, "It's all weird with like."
The Sounders are always good. So if they're having a bad year,
they won the World Series or the championship a couple years ago.
Yeah,
and my dad went to that game live, and like I'm not even a big soccer guy, but like seeing that would be cool, man. I can't even lie.
I was at the Galaxy when it should have been Landon Donovan's last game when they won MLS Cup. I think that was in 2014. I was there for that. One of my favorite sporting experiences ever.
Oh, yeah.
No, live soccer is unbelievable.
Why don't we dive into some people might get a little pressed by this topic, but it's funny to talk about because it's always fun to crap on stupid athletes. Why don't we go to the biggest D-bags in sports, man? Because you put a tweet out yesterday, a quote tweet from Kevin Durant, basically, if I think I'm a legend, I am a legend. And you're like biggest D-bag in sports.
Anyone else, man.
Oh, all right, so we can give our rankings, our candidates of the biggest D-bags in sports. All right, I'm going to go.
Sure.
KD is a very solid one.
Aaron Rodgers.
Yes.
Yep.
And some people may not count this as sports, but it's starting to become a sport, which is sad. Jake Paul. That guy is such a douche. I can't stand him. I don't know
what, Emmett? I got a surprise for you. I love Jake Paul.
I like Logan.
I love me some Jake Paul. The reason maybe because he won me like $500 over his fights.
Oh,
that's the reason.
Yeah.
But come on, man.
Love him too.
And we got to be honest here. The kid, to be a decent boxer, even a decent boxer, you got to start when you're like 8 years old.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yes, the one guy who started was like 15. Robinson. The one Asian dude. Yeah.
We got to be honest here. For him, just both Paul brothers, just said at like 20 years old, I guess I'm going to go box now. And they beat legitimate people, especially Jake Paul. He beat former MMA fighters when have the muscle.
If you look at Ben Askren, he had a dad bod during that fight.
When you're a kid, they don't have they put in the work. They're winning, and guess what? Who is the guy who ducked him twice now? He's a younger brother, one of the Fury brothers. It's like the younger Fury brother.
Yes,
he ducked him
he did.
Twice
he flaked on.
He knows to get knocked out. Emmett, I get how on social media they look like D-bags. I totally get it. But they put in the work and they win fights and won me money. So
well, yeah, I mean, we could say that KD or Aaron Rodgers. I mean, he's a good player, but he's a douche. I'm not saying that Jake Paul's bad. I mean, Logan did something way worse than Jake Paul ever dreamed of a couple years ago with that suicide force thing. But I'm not gonna lie to you.
They're douches. Will I admit to you that they're douchey? Yes, 100%.
I like Logan more than I like Jake as a person, even though, like, I don't know, Jake just seems more egotistical to me. And yes, it is cool to see. I'll give you that. See, starting fighting at like, it wasn't even 20. It was like 22 and like 24.
Like their mid-20s.
And I get it. But one thing that I will point out here from, following the Pauls and all that back when I was a kid is they were like Logan Paul was like a really good high school wrestler, which I know doesn't have like too much correlation into fighting, but still, it's a start, man. I mean, kids.
Did you see him wrestle in WWE? He had a great match.
I saw clips of that. Yeah,
he was great.
I mean, the whole like Jake and Logan are actually good, or I won't say that, but they are there.
Douches. I get it.
Yeah, they're douches, but like this, I'm just not a YouTube boxing type, like Jake and Logan and whatever cool. Like they look like, I don't know. Like I've had like Nate Robb with Jake Paul. Like that was a little weird. Ben Askren looked like a dad during that one. Like everyone else, I watched a fight with.
I can't believe he lived for that one, man. That was
why would, if you're Nate Robinson, you're like, why would you want to fight Jake Paul? I mean, you're like 38, bro. You're losing. I mean, even. Like and that's kind of like my doubts with, like, I want to see Jake like take on a really good fighter. Like,
was it Tyson Fury, or is that, I'm trying to think if Tyson Fury's the heavyweight boxer, but it was a Fury, and that was going to be the big fight that he ducked out twice on. They'll say he was injured or whatever. It's all BS. He didn't want to fight him because he was scared that he was going to lose to Jake Paul and get embarrassed. So that was like going to be the final real boxing fight that to shut everyone up, and that Fury bro like dropped out.
I'm really shocked with how douchey Jake Paul is that someone hasn't came in and tried to do it. I mean to beat Jake Paul.
It'd be embarrassing to lose to him.
If another fight gets booked, how much money are you putting on Jake Paul?
All right, he literally won me $500 throughout 3 fights. I'll put a couple hundo down.
Oh, all right. If this happens, it might be we're still doing shows together in the next fight. Of course, I mean we might have to. If you win money, it might be the opening monologue for the show. I mean give you a victory lap.
I would love to. The guy won me some money, man. Like I mean that's a big reason why I like him. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, it's kind of a big reason I like Nick Chubb. You know how he's won me so many fantasy matchups. Same with Kareem Hunt. A couple years ago, I had Kareem Hunt. He won me so many games. But why don't we go back into NFL here? I mean, that Jake Paul thing, we went a big rant. If you have a couple more douchey players real fast, we can get into it. Do you have any more? Or is it,
No.
Oh, AB, Antonio Brown. How'd we forget about that one, dude?
Oh, he's definitely top 3, huh? He's top 5.
I low-key, like, he's a different type of douche than Kevin Durant. Because there's douchey, like the Chad douchey. That's like, oh, bro, like Kevin Durant, like, oh, I'm a legend, dude. And then there's like actual trash, garbage human being douchey. Like,
and that's what I tweeted out. Like, Tom Brady let this crazy man at the time
stay in his house.
With his family, and he's going to tweet out that nonsense about Giselle when no one believed in him. That is one of the craziest things I have ever seen, and it's so disrespectful to the greatest football player of all time. Not just quarterback; he's the greatest.
Antonio Brown's probably the most disrespectful player in the NFL in a long time. I mean, dirty and disrespectful are different because I think Vontaze Burfict, who freaking rocked Antonio Brown, and that's when it all started. I mean, dirty and disrespectful are different things. I think he's most dirty, but I think AB most disrespectful player in the league in a minute too. I mean, some of this, it's not even just like the Giselle stuff, man. So much uncalled for BS in this guy's career.
Shade against the GOAT. It's just the level.
A guy who opened his whole family and his arms out wide for you to get your career back in line, and you ruin it. We remember what happened in week 17 last year again. Who was that against? I'm drawing a blank. the Saints? No, I wasn't. But week 17 early window game, I remember that when it happened, and the whole and he had his first freak out, and then he was trying to claim injury, which it was so confusing. I don't know, I really don't know what that was. He's I honestly never expected him to get a shot.
Did you unfortunately have to see that photo that was leaked about him exposing himself to some random family in a pool?
Well, luckily, I saw the clip, but luckily I can't see it. So I'm because I'm blind. So I'm very glad about that. You're good.
I feel like
you're
good. I didn't mean that.
You're good. No, it's all good. But I saw the video and I heard on Jonas
because they blurred it out, but you obviously can.
You know what it is, yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Let's just say he had the kielbasa out, if to put it in more family friendly terms. All right. Well,
blurring it out literally did nothing for that video or photo.
Whole family in Dubai too. I mean, come on, dude.
He's on different soil to boot. All
right, we're gonna get. We've been kind of getting very off the rails.
Let's pivot.
I have one more funny story, and then we'll get back to serious talk here. One of my favorite stories in a while was the DK Metcalf story on Sunday. And I know you saw this because you put a quote tweet out. It kind of blew up. If you live under a rock and you didn't know what happened, the injury cart came out on Sunday for DK Metcalf, and it wasn't for it wasn't for a reason that we'd expect, like an ACL or you got slumped by a hit. Well, my guy had to take a poop, man, take a crap. And it was so bad he got carted off the field.
At least he was honest about it, not like Paul Pierce against the Lakers in the finals. He was honest about it at least.
All right, and speaking of honesty, you bring up a very good point. Do you believe that Lamar Jackson actually had cramps in that Monday night game a couple of years ago?
I want to believe him.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't
know if I believe him.
But yeah. DK got carted off, went to the bathroom, did his thing, came back 5 minutes later. It was weird. And at first I'm like, I saw it on Twitter. I'm like, all right, this guy has to be trolling. And then you see it from Sports Center. And then the final coffin was the quote tweet that DK made, quote, that clench walk wouldn't have made it, unquote.
Hey, I love the guy for being honest.
I know.
For being honest.
Because, I mean, look, we're talking about 2 days later, a guy who's had pooping's a bodily function, but we're talking national radio. Jonas, Brady, and LeVar talked about it on In Case You Missed It. I mean, Gottlieb talked about it.
What they said. What did I'd love to see Jonas's take on that one.
They were laughing, and then they were talking about how Jonas it's bodily function, and then Jonas this is what Jonas said, and it confused me. He was like, he's like, don't you think sitting would make it worse? I'm like, no, if you're standing up in that kind of situation, then I mean, come on. Let's be real, man. If you're standing, it's a lot. Trying to walk to the locker room. If it was as bad as he claimed, then it looked like he wasn't making it. I mean, he even said it himself, and Brady and LeVar clowned Jonas. Like, don't you know how physics works?
Sitting saved me many a times in the past. So
I'm sure you're being a former board op. I'm sure you're a pro at this. I'm sure you're a pro at the emergency bathroom situations because you 8 to 5 all the time.
You literally, as a board op, as soon as you hit that commercial break, you got less than 5 minutes, and you gotta sprint down that hallway. And I've had to do it a couple times. Everyone knew it is what it is. But
have you ever? This is a question I've wanted to ask a board op or even a host. Has anyone? If this has happened, you don't have to name names unless you want to. I mean, who knows? It could have been you. But has anyone had at FSR in radio that you've worked with had a DK situation?
Yes.
Was it you?
Well, yes, there was definitely me.
Actually, the one I will name, Ben Maurer had a DK situation, but it wasn't on air.
Also,
it wasn't on air.
Definitely Jason Smith one time had a pretty emergency situation too, I remember.
Of course it's Jason. I mean, that guy's diet is
But that's else. The thing. So like I said, as soon as I hit that commercial break, you literally have the 5 minute ticker And by the way, too, you got to figure out my bump backs. You got to figure out the bump back song too, right? So it's like you had to filter through. So it's technically I have like 3.5 minutes to try to do that
the DK.
Yeah, and it's a little difficult to do.
Yeah,
and yeah,
I'm sure too. Like, because I mean, the executive producer. I mean, they can just get up and go in the middle of the show. Like, I'm sure they do it.
Hard.
But being a host and having that situation too, where you're like trying to hold it in and trying to spit out your sports takes and do the show. Oh man, I'm sure that's terrible. I'm sure it's happened more than we know. I mean,
yeah,
I couldn't imagine that. I mean, it's such a good story. I mean, as immature as people can call us for laughing at it, it was really good. But back over to the NFL, why don't we hit this Geno Smith topic here? And as a Seahawks fan,
you guys are real good.
I was like, and from following me on Twitter, anyone who follows me on Twitter or any social where I talk about sports, or here, I was so scared that Geno Smith was going to come through and throw like 150-yard games, couple pick games. First game, I mean, look, literally like 190 against the Broncos, and most of it was that first half. Like, he had a rock solid, like a really good first half of week 1. Then it kind of fizzled, didn't really do much on offense. Week 2 wasn't his best game. I get week 3 was against the Falcons. I get week 4 was against the Lions, who are probably the worst defense in the NFL. But seeing this out of Geno is it's unexpected. And I've seen a lot of Seahawks fans, and I think it's funny. I'm not going to say it's not, but this Russell Wilson crap, where everyone's like, oh, he's better than Russell. Yes, he is. We're 4 weeks into the season. And this is something that Russell always does, right? Russell always has like a part of his year. And I've seen this as Seahawks fans. I've seen some very heartbreaking losses where I've wanted to freaking punch Russell. When he plays like crap, some players just play bad and it's bad. But when Russell Wilson plays bad, it's terrible. And, he's been playing, I mean,
I'm shocked.
Week 4 against the Raiders was his kind of first decent enough game, and then you had Melvin Gordon, who fumbled twice.
Classic fumble. I know he was a former Charger. I know all about him.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and I mean, the Raiders, they could not convert in the red zone to save their life too. It's like if the Broncos were like that. I mean, if there was not 2 fumbles from Melvin Gordon, the Raiders.
Derek Carr had 188 yards and no touchdowns, and Josh Jacobs, the running back,
put them on his back. Yep. I mean,
the Raiders shouldn't have won that game. And I just wanted those 2 teams, being a fan in the AFC West as a Charger fan, I just wanted them to beat the crap out of each other. I wanted the Raiders to lose just to keep them in the bottom of the pit. But the Broncos should have won that game. And it's kind of ridiculous that they didn't. Derek Carr is just so beyond mediocre. And I still cannot – literally, I hate to keep pivoting to the Chargers. Do you understand? If Justin Herbert throws for less than 300 yards, they have no shot at winning the game. Literally no shot at winning against any team. It's ridiculous. And Derek Carr can throw for less than 200 yards and still somehow pull off the victory because their running back is so ridiculous, especially in that game. Oh, yep. By the way, too, I was watching First Things First earlier, and I don't have the stats next to me. I'm going to pivot back to Geno Smith. Geno Smith's having a better year than Russell Wilson right now.
Yes. Yep. Dude, all the NFL meme accounts I follow on social media were having a field day with that. I'm trying to find Roberto's tweet here about the Raiders in the red zone because it's their big issue. Like, if you want very vulgar, wild tweets for Raiders, Lakers, and Dodgers, at Raider_Rob24. I'm trying to find the tweet here, but this. Find it. I think I found it. Okay. I know. I have to scroll back another. He's been tweeting a lot. Oh my gosh! But in it, this is something that what he said. It could relate back to, the Niners or the Rams last night. The Rams could not score touchdowns for to save their life, man. And and you hate to kind of to compare the Raiders and the Rams, but you really. You really hate to do it, but it's relevant because both these teams cannot convert on offense. Why, like, Derek Carr found 188 yards against the Broncos is terrible. I mean, if it weren't for, like you said, if it weren't for Josh Jacobs, all right, I found the tweet. If it weren't, I'll get to it after I tell you this. If it weren't for Josh Jacobs, the Raiders would be taking a fat L. Here's what Roberto said, quote, another field goal in the red zone. And then he put, he went like rants. It was a wrong tweet. All right, I think this is it right here. All right, here we go. I think this is it because he posted a couple about the red zone. Another red zone field goal, just terrible. It's going to cost the Raiders the game. Same shit, different coach. That's how you put it beautifully, man. I mean, it's you have Devontae Adams, you have Josh Jacobs, you have Darren Waller. What are you doing? And I don't think it was coaching at this point. Like it would be, Carr throws. That Hollins kid, the rookie, he was always targeting Hollins, man. It was every time trying to throw it to Hollins, and it was incomplete.
In fairness to every day in the though, I think if Devontae had 100 of Carr's yards, though. So I mean,
yeah. He is on my fantasy team. He got me like 20 points.
Oh, me too. No, he's on. Yep. I don't like admitting it, but he's on one of my teams too.
Yeah, he's on. I'm in 2 leagues this year. One of them I'm 1-3. The other I'm 3-1. And he's in the 3-1 league, and I was starting to get a little frustrated with him, and then he finally came through. So shout out to Devontae. But yeah, Geno been playing very well. This is like a true NFL reaction show because we're going all over the place here, man. We're
a little scattered, but it's all right.
No, but you know what? And this is not a shock because I love them. It reminds me of Cavino and Rich, where they just kind of bounce off topics and go back and forth, and they make it work. And we're doing that right now. Like we're having a good time with it. We're having fun. Yeah. At is Nick Wright on Twitter. You can find me at EmmettNoC04. If you want to, follow the show on Instagram, you can kind of see whenever I post like little clips of the show of what me or Nick or whoever's with me is saying at Blindside Sports 00, TikTok Blindside Sports 7, and also I'll be on all 3 of those socials. I'll be alerting to you guys whenever I'm about to go live, and who is if it's just me or if I have a guest or what the deal is. So you definitely want to go follow over there to know more about the show. But why don't we dive over? And it's not. I mean, I feel like we kind of have to talk about it because it was very key in week 4. Do you got any more on Geno, or we kind of go over it?
No, I'm just saying I'm really happy that your Seahawks, and he's playing so beyond his.
How about Rashad Penny?
It's crazy.
Forgot. Yep.
Yeah, no, and he's been great too. And I just think you guys are playing way over your head. I'm just going to be honest with you. I think it's going to come crashing down really soon.
Agreed.
But so far, it's been a fun 4 weeks seeing Geno Smith. By the way, I met Geno Smith. He was a backup for the Chargers years ago, and I was at their training camp, and I met him, and he was like the nicest guy, one of the nicest guys I've ever met. So shout out to Geno Smith.
One of the best quotes this regular season so far. They wrote me off. I wrote back. Yeah, very good quote by Geno. And yeah, Geno, he seems like a good dude. But I mean, we got week 5, we got the Saints, which I think is winnable. Week 6, we had the Cardinals, which is gonna be a little bit more challenging. But then week 7, we had the Chargers at SoFi. I think that, I mean, I feel like the 30th defense in the league, and he's gonna have a good game. But that offense, I wouldn't be shocked if like you guys play like a 45 or 48 burger on us. I'm for real. I'm not even like the Jared Goff without Amon-Ra St. Brown and DeAndre Swift put 45 on that defense.
Yeah.
It's gonna be it's gonna remind me of the Lions Seahawks game last season. I wouldn't be shocked if it was like 51-29 or 30 or something like that.
Oh, like, I'm not going 50 burger. That's a stretch. I'm not going 50. But I will say Geno's gonna stand up for that Charger game. They didn't want to keep him as a backup. He's gonna get up for that game. So I'm not writing it off as a for sure win. I'll say that.
Wow, and that's very interesting. Why don't enough Seahawks talk and enough chart? Everyone's like, oh, you guys are such homers. But let's move over to the Dolphins and this whole kind of Tua thing. And first, I teased it on Twitter, so I'll have to do it. My Mike McDaniel impression.
Let's hear it.
Let me get all right. Do you want me to do the one where he's talking about he wasn't playing? He's not gonna play against the Jets.
Yes.
So Tua. I can't give you a for sure timeline at this moment. But what I do know is he's not playing week 5 against the Jets. Teddy Bridgewater is going to be starting. And then the other one on Friday, me and Tua are, really close. We sit by each other on the plane. He has to sit by me. Mike McDaniel, who
nailed the monotoneness. You nailed the monotoneness.
He sounds baked out of his mind. He sounds he sounds like a at first, like, I didn't really realize it. And like Thursday night, like when he first spoke, like after the Tua thing, I'm like, all right, maybe he's just, scared about Tua, whatever. Like, maybe maybe he had a moment, whatever. I'm not going to judge him. And then I kind of looked into it because LeVar was doing his impression and Jonas, like, he sounds like a pothead. So I'm like, is this not just a one-time thing? No, every presser sounds like the exact same. It's
monotonous.
Yes. Very chill and low key. He's a character, man. He's funny, but this whole enough Mike McDaniel talk. I'm sure you guys have heard your impressions everywhere over the past 5 days. But if I'm this whole team doctor thing for the Dolphins, and I'll go back to my take on Thursday. Look, I get Tua got absolutely smacked on last Sunday against the Bills. I get that. But my take at the time was, why would the Dolphins try and do something like this when they already had all of that controversy? The Dolphins had a weird amount of, they had the Brian Flores thing. They had the Tom Brady. They're trying to, the whole Tom Brady situation where they wanted them and they're trying to cheat to do that. And then they had the giving away games. I'm like, so I was a believer that maybe this was a back injury, which obviously a neurological doctor got fired on Saturday. So clearly I don't think it was a back injury.
Yeah.
Which, look, obviously this whole head injury thing's been a topic as of late. And I like the player safety part. I think players, but of course everyone's like, well, Tua, he shouldn't have played. If he was cleared by the doctors and they told him you could play, and the way the role he was on, he beat the Bills. It wasn't a good game, but he balled out against Baltimore. I feel like he was trying to prove himself against the Cincinnati Bengals. I feel like, he was trying to come back on the momentum and, all right, maybe he shouldn't have played now that I think it was a head injury on last Sunday. My views have completely changed on that since I saw that the doctor got fired. But it's just the whole player safety thing. And Ben pointed this out on Sunday's show going into Monday. I know you're not a late night guy, so you didn't hear this, but Ben said that this week, it's a lot more head injuries. So I think the NFL put a memo out and they're trying to crack down on all of this because we have all Vincent Jackson died young, CTE. What was the other guy? There's another. I'm blanking on his name, but they're trying to keep the players as safe as they can. The PA is gonna, they're gonna try and do the same thing. So it's a very sticky situation. Embarrassing for that neuro doctor and the Dolphins. I think, was he related to the Dolphins or was he a completely separate dude? It's they said independent, but then the NFL pays him. So I feel like at some point he was affiliated with the Dolphins.
Yeah.
So but it's just embarrassing for the Dolphins, man, and the NFL.
100,000,000%. When they came out, and I know the NFL, everyone says the people who defend the Dolphins, the doctors clear them, stuff like that. Obviously they were hiding it and shoved it under the rug. And they were praying, crossing their fingers and toes that something was not going to happen to Tua like it happened against the Bills. And it did. And did you see that one neurologist, they made that movie about concussions with Will Smith. So pretty much the doctor who played that role even said he thinks he should retire. That's how bad he got hit.
Wait, was that the guy? There's a bunch of neurological people.
I don't have his name in front of me, but
was that the guy who Jason Smith interviewed? Chris Nowinski or something, or Nowinski.
No,
or
it's like no. I'm gonna butcher his name, but it was basically the movie where Will Smith played that neurologist and just warned about concussions. And he thinks Tua should straight up retire after that. So it's really bad. I think the Dolphins shoved it under the rug. March 2. And again, too, I'm sure Tua's a warrior. He wanted to play no matter what. It's a disaster for the Dolphins. And I feel bad for Tua. I really do. I mean, Charger fans and Dolphins fans go at each other about because, Dolphins picked Tua before Herbert, and that's always going to be a thing for the rest of their careers. But I don't want to see that.
No,
I'm not a Tua guy.
You hate to see a guy literally convulse on the field. Like, come
on. That's the thing too. When you saw that first play last week, like they say it's a back problem. The guy couldn't even walk straight, and he wasn't like grabbing his back like my back hurts. He was blatantly couldn't even walk.
Could have been a spinal thing. Like it really, like if they're trying to say it was a back thing, and not, I mean, back then, like before we knew that this was a complete and total screw up by them. By the doctors, by the Dolphins. And my other question is, do you blame the monotone Mike McDaniel at all? Do you think he has any factor in this situation?
I'm going to say no, because if the doctors say that he's good to go and he's cleared, what are you going to do?
Yeah, exactly. And everyone ripping, I went on my Mike McDaniel little research spree, and I was looking at comments and replies and all that. The amount of hate that dude got for something that the doctor said was okay. I mean, he could have used his common sense. We have to think about it as a coach, as someone who's in the NFL. The doctor tells someone they're fine.
Yeah.
And it's a primetime game against a Bengals, team that you want to take to go 4-0. Of course, the doctor says it's good. Of course, he's playing Tua.
Yep. No, I don't blame the coach at all.
The F up is completely on the Dolphins doctors and all, the independent I can't say that word. I don't know what it is. But, the Dolphins are the people who said it was a back injury on Sunday. So, I mean, I feel like they said they're interviewing Tua this week, a couple days ago. Early this week. I haven't seen anything on it. I don't know if that information is going to get out there, even if he's going to try and say too much about it. Like, I don't know. And the other neurologist that went on Jason Smith, he said that Fox Sports Radio posted this on their Twitter, whoever the producer was who's doing it, but who put the article out. But he said in the article, I wasn't listening to the show, but this guy was like, Tua should never play a snap for the Dolphins again. So, like, the way that neurologists see this is terrible, and that there's all the Dolphins' fault. I don't know if I think Tua's going to be there for the Dolphins. Even though the doctors did him dirty, that roster's, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, it's a very up and coming roster. But man, it's so embarrassing for the Dolphins, man.
It is. And again, it feels like Tua finally was on the come up. I feel like he was maybe finally catching his stride after 2 seasons. After getting benched for Ryan Fitzpatrick twice in 1 year, I feel like he was finally catching his stride. And again, Charger fans and Dolphins fans don't like each other. I don't like Tua. I don't think he's that good, but I feel like he was finally starting to make progress.
To do something, yeah.
I just hate for it to happen like this. And I just never want to see that for any player ever. And I think that the Dolphins brass thought he was going to be okay. I think they shoved it under the rug, and look where they're at now. It's not good. It's a horrible look. It's terrible.
And it's not okay. Maybe if it was okay, this one situation, whatever. The Dolphins have done so much just BS the past year or so, man. That all these situations are coming out about them. They need to get their act together, man. I mean, it's bad. It's a horrible look, and this is worse than I think anything they've done, like controversial. I mean, I think we can agree on that. I mean, Tua got he got mollywopped. I mean, that's the only way. Like, that's the nicest way to put it. It was terrible. Man. I mean, everybody was like feeling horrible for the guy. I mean, he, like you said, he was starting to, do something in this league, and now this happens. Who knows? I don't think it's just going to be a one-game thing. I mean, apparent head injuries in like 5 days. He's going to miss some time, man.
I'll say a month at the very least. The very, very least, a month.
Yeah, I don't know like the exact, bye week and all that. What bye week they have, but I know they got the Jets this week, which I think even with Teddy, that could be a winnable game for them as long as Teddy doesn't F it up. But yeah, it's not a good look for the Dolphins. Emmett Douglas, Nick Wright with you. Nick's Twitter is Nick Wright. I'm at EmmettNoC04. If you're enjoying the show, make sure to leave a like. If you're watching, comment. If you're watching this after, the live stream, you want to, say something, you can always tweet us. Me and Nick are both pretty active over there, so we'll, reply to you if you agree or disagree with us. But hey, why don't we go over to the Packers-Patriots game? And I feel like this is something that is slipping under the radar in the media.
It is. It absolutely is.
Because, look, Matt Jones, who the Patriots are kind of looking like crap this year, was out with his injury. You had Brian Hoyer, who solid backup, concussion, and then Bailey Zappi comes in, and the Patriots put a they had like a 24 point, 24 points. Patriots they always put up that number, but Aaron Rodgers pick 6. First of all, second of all, it just seems like their offense is missing a beat without Devontae Adams. I'm not even talking about this
big time.
If we go back over to week 3 against Tom Brady and the Bucs, I know Tom Brady, their offense didn't put up points either. I get it. 14-12 was that final score. You probably, if Tom Brady got that 2-point conversion, you would have lost that game.
They should have lost that game. Aaron Rodgers had no right. Aaron Rodgers has been so mediocre this season, and
then against the bum ass Bears, it should have been a blowout.
Yep.
And then week 1, they got mollywopped by the Vikings. Shout out K-Fig, but it just wasn't. He's not the Aaron Rodgers we saw, and it's not getting talked about.
It's not.
It's the Packers. I think they're in trouble, man. I get that we drafted Romeo Doubs, whatever. That guy's dropped so many balls, and didn't he fumble a couple times too? He hasn't been particularly good for them. Randall Cobb's old. Allen Lazard is solid, but it's just they're not what they used to be. Maybe Nathaniel Hackett was a better coordinator than he is a coach by miles. Maybe that's the obvious one. Devontae Adams and Aaron Rodgers had a really good connection. But part of it too is Aaron Rodgers is starting to get a little bit older, man. That's part of it, and it's.
And by the way, who played again for the Patriots? Billy. I thought you said Billy Zapka, the guy from the Karate Kid, and now the Cobra Kai series.
Bailey Zappi. I might be butchering that.
It might as well have been him going on the field because who the hell is this guy?
Never heard of him.
It's ridiculous. And they still took the game to overtime.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
Aaron Rodgers was not that game should have been a blowout. It should have been I won't say a blowout because the Patriots dropped 24 on them. It should have been more than it should have been better. It should have been 34-24 with the way that everyone praises Aaron Rodgers. And do you know the Packers have week 5?
Let me take a look really quick. I'm
blanking.
Now they got the Giants, so that's a free win right there too.
Yeah, that's a winnable if they keep that game close and Aaron Rodgers has another average or below average game where he has a pick or something, then they're officially ruled out, man. That NFC, but then again,
if they go 4-1, what do you?
They're gonna do? It's the same situation with the Rams. They're gonna be fine in the regular season. They're gonna put up these games where it's very close against crap teams, but they still come through because crap teams are crap teams. But when they play a hard team, or when they get to the playoffs, it's not gonna look good. It's not gonna be pretty, man. Unless
what annoys me too, when I was watching First Things First earlier, they did that's the one honest show where they actually have Rodgers criticism, and there was they did the producers made a clips together, and throughout that game, and actually I think they did other games too. You just see Aaron Rodgers after a drop pass or a missed throw, they did 10 different clips to where he's just shaking his head. like, just looking annoyed. And they actually brought good criticism to where it's like, dude, you're Aaron Rodgers. You don't have you don't have Devontae anymore. Like, pick your guys up. And even remember in the preseason where he criticized how they're not in sync and pretty much said the receivers stink now. And he's not a leader. He's just not a leader of a team. Never has been.
Never will be.
Thank you.
I mean, I don't know. I was, an Aaron Rodgers fan for the longest time. Like, I won't say fan, but like he wasn't douchey to me until the 2021 offseason. And that's when I just started to not like the guy. Just the way he handled all of that. I mean,
I'll be honest. I mean, I've always been a Charger fan. I mean, it's not looking good right now because he really sucks. But my favorite football player beyond the Chargers was Brett Favre, and that's he's a big piece of crap.
One of my friends, shout out Vince if you're watching this. He is the biggest Brett. He was a Brett Favre guy as well. Literally same as you. Huge Brett Favre fan. Aaron Rodgers. He's a big Aaron Rodgers hater, and same exact situation. It's very ironic. I mean, this guy, the text that he sent me after Aaron Rodgers got taken out by the Niners in that playoff game last year, where he was going on a full blown rampage. It was very interesting, and that's the thing with Aaron Rodgers too. Is in the Packers is with the receivers. I'm not even gonna say it, like they haven't been particularly great. Some of the games are on Rodgers. But if you're Green Bay, do you consider picking up another receiver? Because I don't know. It's just they still have like a good team. You got Aaron Jones, who I can't even hate on. AJ Dillon can't even hate on. Like it's they got the running game. I feel like they're like a good receiver. Like then they could do something if Aaron Rodgers steps it up, and that's the big what if here. Can Aaron Rodgers not? It just seems like he's not like calm. I don't know. He just seems different this year.
I feel like he's just not locked in.
Yeah,
it's like he's zoned out. And one thing, and when you said earlier, by the way, I guarantee he's going to ask for another receiver. He's going to try. I'll tell you that much.
I don't even blame him. Like, I'm not even an Aaron Rodgers guy, but I don't blame him because, I mean, he's. When do you think he's going to retire?
That's a great. Gun to my head, I think he's done after this year or next year. I think he's getting over it.
What if we lose Brady and Rodgers the same year? Like probably this year. I don't think Brady's playing another year after this. I mean, he has 10 years at Fox.
It's like an end of two eras.
Yeah, it's good. Oh, that's gonna be weird because I mean I grew up with those dudes. I mean you're like
I'm much older than you.
You're like early 30s. Like you've seen other people, but like everyone else, man. Like I Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Philip Rivers, Big Ben Roethlisberger were the quarterbacks I grew up with as a kid, and now like it's another era. I mean, after Brady and Rodgers retires, it's gonna be people like Mahomes, Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, Lamar could be in that talk. Like it's definitely good. It's gonna be interesting to see like what quarterbacks officially do that.
Like, yeah, absolutely.
Because
I'm way older than you, and it's just the eras that keep going over and over and over. And like when Brady, I mean, let's be honest, Brady probably should have retired 5 freaking years ago. I mean, the fact that he's still playing is kind of ridiculous. But even though we don't like Rodgers, I'm a hater of him. We're gonna miss him when he's gone.
Mm-hmm.
We just are. He is probably gonna be a top 5 quarterback of all time when it's all said and done. Even though
that probably hurt for you to say that.
It does. But I mean, it's got to be honest.
Yeah. We're never biased here. Totally.
Try.
Yeah. I agree with you. I think you can't really deny him of his greatness, like what he's done over the time. As much as I'd love to, but like I'm very interested to see like what the Brady Rodgers is going to be after they're gone, because we're very blessed with quarterbacks. I mean, Herbert's a superhero. Mahomes, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow.
Yep. I love Lamar.
this draft class this year is supposed to be really good for quarters.
Yes. Yeah.
Like it's going to be very interesting to see how that all plays out. Emmett Douglas, Blindside Sports. Why don't we get over to the Los Angeles Lakers here? And you're like, whoa, you're hitting on all three of the pro sports today. And that's because, we're getting close to the season. And Shams Sharamia put out a tweet yesterday. And, basically he was saying, the Lakers, they're thinking about making a blockbuster trade involving Westbrook, like at this, before the season starts and all of this. And Nick is I don't know if I'd say suffering because you guys won during COVID.
But last year was pretty rough. I don't know.
The last couple of years were pretty rough. I mean, you guys, like, even the 2020-2021 season where you guys got bounced by the Suns.
Yeah, it was brutal.
Yeah, that was rough too because, I mean, the Lakers weren't really crap until, like, April or May. And then LeBron missed time with the ankle injury. Then Dennis Schroeder. Something happened with Dennis Schroeder. I don't remember what it was. And AD got hurt, like, towards the end of the season or something. Like, it was... I won't say long suffering, but I'll say suffering Lakers fan. Because
for the Lakers franchise, a little bit, yeah.
But you're old enough to remember all the years of, like, Kobe and all that.
Okay, so. Kobe will forever and ever be my favorite athlete of all time. Not even Justin Herbert will top Kobe. Kobe's my favorite player, athlete, person ever.
Yeah, I mean he's. I mean, it sucks to see him gone, man. It really does.
Oh, man. I'll never forget that morning.
I remember exactly what I was doing when I got that news. I was about to go to Costco with my dad and my grandma, and then my dad's like, Kobe died. And I'm like, who's it reported by? Like, I was like 15, but I knew. I was like, it was definitely TMZ. So when it's TMZ, you hate to say this, but when TMZ reports something tragic, it's, yeah. And then I see Shams Sharamia and then another website. I'm like,
I was sleeping.
This is real.
I was sleeping, and my girlfriend at the time, now my fiance, like, I'm a really bad. Let me just say, like, I don't like being woken up. We'll just say that.
I agree.
And she woke me up frantically, and she said, "You have to turn on your phone right now and look." And I'm like, "Why? Why would you wake me up right now?" And I mean, my heart stopped. I could not imagine that it's real, and it's just still.
Yeah. I mean, it was like just, and if you remember, this was a week of like Radio Row and like Super Bowl coverage. It interrupted that for at least the first 3 days.
Yep.
It was such an. I mean, waking up to that was probably horrible. I mean.
No, that was the worst. Yeah, that was the worst morning ever.
You're like, you ruined my day waking me up to that. let me wake up, do something, then see the news. I mean, come on. But it was just he had one of the biggest impacts on sports for like the people kind of in your generation, even little bits of my generation too. Like
they don't make them like Kobe anymore. You ain't gonna find an athlete like that anymore.
Nah,
you're not.
I mean, I remember when I was young, when I was younger, I was, obviously I was in school, so I wasn't like listening to Big Ben all the time. My guy was JT and Looney and Jason Smith. Those were my dudes back then. I remember Jason was
working with JT and Looney, man. That was a trip.
I love Looney. Looney is so funny, man. He's such a character. And then Jason was like, Twitter is down, and obviously I was still like listening through the iPad. Like I was just like starting to get like use technology and all that because I was younger, and it was like, oh, Jason's like, Twitter's down because Kobe, his last game, he broke Twitter. What athlete's done that? Who's broken Twitter? I mean,
you're talking about his final game when he had 60.
Yes,
right?
Yes,
okay.
And I remember them feeding the ball to Kobe every play, which rightfully so. I mean, that was a cool way for him to go out. The Lakers just hit. I mean, they had nothing to fight for, so they're like, why not? It was definitely it was really cool to see, man. But
yeah,
so the main point of this one is that Russell Westbrook is back in the trade block again, and it's been like this. And I'll let you go first with this one. So what do you think's going to happen after seeing that Shams tweet?
Nothing. The Lakers had a chance to give up they don't want to give up their 2 first-round picks, and it's absolutely egregious. And no, they're going to go with the same. Can you believe this? The biggest move that they made this whole offseason is getting Patrick Beverly.
He's such a.
And I think, by the way, we're gonna roll
you know where I'm going.
Biggest D-bag.
Yep.
Right up there. So yeah. And yeah, supposedly him and Russ. He was the reason why Westbrook blew out.
Hold on, I have to add to the biggest D-bag thing with him real fast.
Okay.
And Laker fans, I hate to call y'all out here, but I remember all the Laker fans on my timelines just ripping him for like the past 6 years, and then I've seen a couple be like, oh, like, and it wasn't anyone that we know, like personally, FSR. Thank God. I mean, I think Rob G's take wasn't as extreme as some of these.
Rob G likes the move, and it drives me insane.
Yeah, and I look, one of my friends who's a Laker apologist was in love with it. I'm like, why? I mean, you guys just it's just funny how the Laker the Laker Nation, how they react when they get a guy that they used to despise and now they love. Yep. I mean, Laker Nation, they're one of the weirdest fan bases, and I'm sorry to roast your team.
No. I'm not gonna argue that. Like we every single Laker or most Laker fans either think we can trade for anyone, whoever we pick up.
The future Lakers stuff is so
great. I mean, it's a privileged fan base. Let's just call it what it is. We are a privileged.
Seahawks fans are privileged too.
Expect to win.
I mean, newer Seahawks fans are privileged. I mean, I'm in group I joined this group on you could call me old for this one on Facebook, with all Seahawks fans, and some of the stuff I see in that, I'll tweet some of them out, some of what people said after the show. I've seen some of the most ridiculous takes I've ever seen in that group. And I mean, I'm young, but I'm not as privileged as these fans. But what some of these people are saying during the game is just stupid, man. I'm like, this how you guys me being a Blazer fan kind of helped me get used to how bad the Seahawks were by getting bounced every playoff or seeing stupid trades that we make. So I think I'm used to it. These guys are just football fans and they only see the Seahawks, so they're getting attacked by all this. It's hurting them. The whole not having Russ and losing all your good guys besides Tyler Lockett and DK. So I trust me, I've seen privileged fan bases and the Lakers are one of them. But keep going.
One thing that just saddens me the most is the fact that Patrick Beverly and Russell Westbrook are supposedly best friends off the court right now. Bull freaking crap about that. And that's the thing too. We're the Lakers, and I'm going to be the privileged fan now. We're the Lakers. You're telling me we can't get anyone else besides old bum Patrick Beverly, who's not who will not. I've seen he's going to bring that grit to the locker room. He's going to bring that defensive. No, he's not. Get the hell out of here. All he does. Westbrook called him out on that years ago. All he literally does is run around the court and try to attack people. He is not a good basketball player.
And he always becomes a douche in the playoffs too. I mean, who did he get? He got somebody last year.
Have you seen him he was on First Take a lot for a minute over the summer, and he just thinks he's this intellectual smartest guy in the room type of guy, and it just I can't stand him. And the fact that he's on the Lakers now just sickens me. It's not going to be impactful. The Lakers are not going to be better next year unless AD stays healthy, to which I'm not counting on. I'm not going to be honest with you. I don't think the Lakers are going to be much better next year.
I agree. I have them. I'll have my the season starts on the 18th, 2 weeks from now. So I'll have my my prediction show kind of sooner towards then. But at this moment, with not doing very, very much hard put thinking on this, maybe a play-in team, not even in this season for the Lakers is all up to Anthony Davis.
Yep.
Because Russell Westbrook, I mean, he just doesn't work with the Lakers. LeBron James, let's be real, older dude, he's gonna need time off if LeBron's gonna be at LeBron levels. And Anthony Davis, who Charles Barkley famously gave him the name Street Clothes, he can't be Street Clothes this year. He can't. That's the last thing the Lakers need. And in terms of this Westbrook trade here, you're right. The Lakers have had their chances. I'm torn on this one because half of me is like, all right, you want to go for it now before LeBron James, LeBron's not going to be around in like 3-4 years, probably. I'm not buying it, at least at an elite level. So it's either, all right, we go for the chip now, give up our 2 firsts, but then at the same time, after LeBron leaves, this team is going to be the worst team in the NBA if they do that. They have 0 picks.
It's going to be back to the post-Kobe years when they had Jeremy Lin in scrubs and guys like Carlos Boozer and just pure scrubs. So that's why I think they.
What I will say, okay,
get a move here. They got to move. They got to move them. They got to give up those 2 first-round picks. I get what you mean, but come on, man. When do guys ever pan out in the NBA? It's like so rare. Like they're not even high first-round picks either.
No. It could be in 2027 or 2029. I mean,
exactly.
The thing with NBA is you could put protections on them too. So, I mean, you do like top 5 protected. So if you're in 2027, let's say you're and if you really want that pick in 2027, you can put a protection on it. But the Lakers, the one thing, the hope that I will say for them, when this LeBron thing ends, is it's LA. People are going to and it's the Lakers. Privileged team. They're going to have money after losing LeBron. Someone might want to go there, and that's their only saving grace. But if no one wants to go there, it's going to be worse than the post-Kobe era.
It is. And here's the thing. I don't agree with you. I don't think Jeannie Buss, I want to love her. She's just really bad at her job. And I don't think people are going to come play for the franchise when she's running the show. I don't.
Okay. I hear you on that one. And this is a topic among Laker fans. And some people, I think all of you guys are over him. But Pelinka, do you think he needs to go? Do you think he should, you're fired?
The thing is that when LeBron came to the Lakers, Clutch Sports, his company, they took over that franchise. And Rob and Jeannie just kind of.
Yes, you're right. LeBron.
How do I say
this?
It's LeBron's. How do I say this? They took it over, and Rob and Jeannie didn't have the backbone to say, no, we're going to do. They pretty much kowtowed to Clutch Sports and LeBron, and this is why they're in the crap hole that they're in. And I feel like other players are going to look around and be like, they're really easy to push around, and I don't want to be in that kind of franchise. There's going to be some dark days. If the Lakers don't win another one with LeBron, it's going to be some really dark days ahead.
Oh, yeah, and man, Ben Maller is going to love it, man.
My God, his Clipper fandom drives me insane.
Oh, I've gotten into so many arguments with him over it, and I'm not, I'm a Blazer guy, but what his Clipper propaganda. I love you, Ben. That's what it is.
Just garbage. Talk about a garbage organization. The Clippers are, and they think they are on some. Clipper fans think they're on par with the Lakers in LA, and they're literally on the bottom of our freaking boot, man. Like the Clippers are garbage.
The only true Clipper fans I know, besides and they're all FSR people, and this is how you know. And I follow a bunch of people on Twitter, interact with a bunch of different people on Twitter. All right, here we go. Clipper Daryl, Ben Maller, Brian Fenley, and then Monty Bolaños. Only Clipper fans I can think of at this moment. I might be missing someone, but
it's fake news. People. They think they have a big fan base, and it's absolute fake news.
Because the Clipper, you could still say they're irrelevant. I'm not going to go that far.
They're irrelevant.
They're starting to make headlines. But if we're talking in LA,
if Kawhi wants to play a game at some point, that'd be great. But he ain't showing up.
He played last night.
He's fine. Well, I'm saying he's finally coming back now. It's about freaking time.
For real.
And they finally got to a Western. When did they make the Western Conference Finals? Was that last year?
Yes, it was a 2021 year. The one where we had the NBA Finals in July. It was that year.
They've never even been to a freaking NBA Finals, and they think they're on the same level as the Lakers.
No, they're not. It's going to take a lot, just because how historic that Lakers franchise is. And I just saw something on Twitter we're going to get to after this because it's about the judge thing. But
oh God, all right.
it goes with your point actually. But the Lakers are so historical that it's gonna, you know how much of good Clipper basketball and crap Laker basketball it's gonna take for them to even think about being as relevant as the Lakers are in LA. And it's not gonna. It's good. I doubt it's gonna happen.
Clippers fans keep showing over the last decade. Yeah, they've owned us in the regular season. Golf clap for you. That's really great. You still won a title 2 years ago. I don't. Unless when the Clippers at least have an appearance in the NBA Finals for once in their freaking pathetic organization, then maybe you can talk a little bit. But I don't want to hear it until then.
No, that's the thing. The Lakers are so historical. You're not winning that battle probably ever. But Emmett Douglas, along with Nick Wright here on Blindside Sports. Now, this is something that I didn't even think about. And, FSR producer Chris Perfett at Chris Perfett on Twitter. Are sports fans expected to know the difference? Or hold on, right? Are sports fans expected to know the difference between NFC touchdown leader and the AFC touchdown leader? So why AL versus NL for home runs, especially in the era of universal DH and year-round interleague play? So that's a very interesting point because this is the only sport where NL and AL matters. And look, I mean, it's the way the MLB does things, but it's definitely a talking point. Right? I mean, who cares? Who cares in the NFL, NFC, AFC? The only difference is the playoffs. We don't the AFC MVP or in the NBA. We don't do the Eastern Western leader in points. What? Or the Eastern Conference MVP. I don't know what baseball's like. I've never understood it. Why they kind of divide stuff by AL and NL. But it's a point you have to think about here. And I wonder, could that could be used in a case against Judge, and hey, that could help your Shohei Ohtani MVP run right there. If you get some of those cracked NL guys with home runs, then hey, that could help your take.
I get what you're saying, but I'm just gonna, I can do the stats again. I'm sure people will just be annoyed again, but no, I mean. That's an interesting point, and I get what he's saying, and I get what you're saying, but no matter what, it would be such a disservice to baseball, the MLB, and fans everywhere for what Shohei is doing, which will probably never happen again for another 100 years.
I agree.
Not to win the MVP again. It's
a disservice. Sorry if I didn't make that clear to you and the listeners, but I'm with you. I just don't understand why this whole AL and NL thing. Why baseball does it like that. I mean, for AL MVP, you literally laid everything out for me on Shohei. I mean, it's historical. It's history. I would be shocked if we saw that this again at this level. I mean, sure, we could see, someone similar to Shohei again, but it's not going to be at the Shohei levels.
Nope.
He's a generational talent. I mean, it's weird because Aaron Judge is good, but and it's not that I think he should, but I will bet I'd be down to throw a bet with you right now that because of how big of a market it is in New York, unfortunately, he's winning the MVP.
And guess what? I would not make a bet with you because I think I might lose that. So
yeah, because New York media is one of the Cavino and Rich talk about this all the time because they're both New York guys. They're one of the most brutal but big time media markets, man. When the Yankees and Mets suck, or a New York team stinks out loud, especially in baseball, it is horrible for it.
Oh yeah. Oh, East Coast radio people and fans are brutal, absolutely brutal. Yeah.
Yep. I completely agree with that. Emmett Douglas, Nick Wright. Now, last story here. We've been going on for an hour and a half, man. This has been a really fun show today. Why don't we?
2 hours, my man.
Wow. I'm gonna use all my stream. I'm gonna have to pay for the StreamYard premium. I'm gonna use my hours quick this month. But why don't we move over to the you were saying you have a comparison. You put this on Twitter between Cooper Kupp and Cooper Rush. I'm going to let you take the lead on this one. Go ahead.
I think it's ridiculous. Every single time I put on the radio or watch TV, sports TV, that every single time it gets brought up that when Dak comes back and the Cowboys are still winning, it's not even a question to anybody. Nope, Dak's back in there. Dak's back in there. It's not even a question. Are people watching Cowboys games? This kid can freaking play. And if the Cowboys keep winning these games, and although I will say the defense has been ridiculous so far, why is it not being talked about more how good Cooper Rush is playing? And what bugs me more, Cooper Kupp is the best receiver in the league by a very large margin. He got the Triple Crown last year, and he's still balling this year. I don't like how it's just not being talked about enough. And I know people are going to read between the lines there. I don't want to go really hard on this. I just think it's odd that two really good white players are not being talked about enough, especially someone like Cooper Kupp.
It's a very interesting take by you. And what I will say about it, because, Cooper Rush, and I think what Jerry Jones is saying is I think he's in a commitment here because they're paying him so much money. He's not going to bench a guy that is being paid all of this. Dak got a huge contract. You can argue it's overpaid, and I will. I'm not a Dak guy. I'm
not either.
And it's nothing, and Chris Broussard brought up a point too that, Cooper Rush has been really good. And Chris, I think I was on First Things last week or a couple weeks ago, but he was like, it might have been an odd couple actually, but he was saying that Cooper, the reason why Cooper Rush is working out so well, we'll go this way, because the Cowboys are actually calling smart plays. They were trying to do this, like, let Dak cook, it seemed like. And now, like, even people, and I still have my doubts, but people were writing off Zeke. And then that Monday night game against the Giants, he was popping, man. He did good. So, like, you have to kind of wonder. And I think if Cooper keeps this up, and if they can take down the Rams this week,
yep.
And I think Dak, look, he's going to be here this season. But Cooper Rush, if it's not on the Cowboys, a team's going to sign him. He could be something somewhere. Like, I would not be mad if the Seahawks picked him up.
I was literally going to bring that up. I was literally going to say that. Like, wwhy not your Seattle team, man? Like,
look, and I said this last year with Tyler Huntley, actually, and I know people might rip me for it. I still have my doubts. That Cooper. He's played the Bengals, who looked like crap. I might say, when they played them. And then you week 3 of the Giants Monday Night Football, which the Giants, really confusing team. They're 3-1. And then, if I'm getting their record wrong, I don't know why I'm tripping about that. And then you have the Commanders, who aren't good. And then you got the Eagles this week. I think that's your test.
Yeah.
That is the biggest.
100%.
And if Cooper Rush can at least keep the game close and have a good enough game, then I can agree with your point a little more. Because, look, the Cowboys are in a commitment. They paid Dak so much money. They can't just move on from him. The Jerry Jones, he's not gonna have him sit on his bench when he's making all that money. Like, say what you want to say about the football side of things. Oh, Cooper's better, maybe.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. I'm not.
I understand your point, and I hope for Cooper Rush that he gets an opportunity somewhere.
And I'm just saying, if the Cowboys are 5-1 and Dak is still a little, not 100%, why?
Oh yeah.
Why bring him back in? Like, if they're 5-1,
okay, that's the same thing with Russell Wilson last year. Different. Obviously, Seahawks were way worse with Geno last year, but when you need your quarterback to be at 100% with a a hand injury, and I believe that
But it's going to be interesting. Hypothetically, if the Cowboys are 5-1, 6-1, and Dak's ready to come back, I mean, are you going to kill that momentum? That's a tough
I think
decision.
that the way Jerry Jones, the way he is, yes, they're killing that momentum. I mean, I just think like how much it's a money thing, and that's all it is. I think, if that gets hurt again when he comes back, and then like Cooper Rush comes back and takes into a playoff run, then I feel like it's going to take a lot for people to realize what Cooper Rush has done, because he's played crappy teams for like and I get he can play. I'm not going to disagree, but Pete, if he pops off against the Eagles on Sunday, I feel like there's going to be a lot more conversation about Cooper Rush.
Yep, it's going to get real. If the Cowboys win this weekend, it's going to be real interesting on all the sports shows next week.
And on your Cooper Kupp thing, your Cooper Kupp take, him being the best receiver in the league by miles, at this point, like last year, I was like, all right, he's up there, but how he's been literally just Matthew Stafford and him been feeding each other, and he's been working with it. I mean, I said it's a one-trick pony earlier, but God, he's still a good receiver. He's still great. And Cooper Kupp, he's a Eastern Washington University guy. I mean, home state with me, the great state of Washington. I mean, I kind of have to root against him because he's on the Rams. But, I mean, You can root against a guy, but you can still admit their talent. Cooper Kupp is good. Emmett Douglas, Nick Wright. We've been going at for 2 hours, man. This is, Nick, if we were on Fox Sports Radio or, a local radio station with commercial breaks, this would be a full 3-hour show.
We filled in. We basically filled in. We did like a Ben Maller amount of time, basically.
Yeah. It's
been fun. I'm glad you had me on, man. Even though I'm a nobody, I'm glad you had me on.
I mean, hey, man, you can be a nobody, but like what matters is, this is the chemistry. I mean, to me, and I think I can tell just from talking to you that me and you like the same kind of radio, or the same kind of sports talk, and
right.
I don't like the dry stuff, and me and you today we've hit on so much topics. It wasn't even like it went from what who we start with, like the Monday night game, and then went to what was our first off topic thing? K-Fig. Yeah, we had like a whole 10-minute thing about K-Fig's mollywop, and then we went to the DK Metcalf FSR situation. Yep. If anyone's had a DK situation,
I went off on Ohtani and Judge.
That was planned. Reaction. The Judge stuff was planned. We had that in our notes. So
I think we got to wrap up. I think we got to wrap up with one more thing.
All right,
and I feel like I jinxed the poor man, and I feel bad. The worst divorce in American history.
Yeah.
Can you believe it? I feel like I said it a couple weeks ago. Can you believe that Brady and Giselle are actually getting divorced? I'm actually legitimately sad about that. I think it's terrible. It's terrible.
I know. Oh man, yeah. You kind of do hate to see, because they had, my parents are divorced. I mean, not many people, like personal people, know that, but it for having kids. I mean, for me, I wasn't really too because I still have good relationships with both of my parents, but for kids, I could see how when you have your parents divorced, especially when it's like Tom Brady and Giselle Bündchen, I could see how hectic that would get for the Brady kids, man. And you feel for the family, really do it. It is sad. I
never saw them breaking up. I thought that was like a perfect marriage, and nope.
No, I mean, and then you have to. I mean, it's not really our business, but was there more stuff There's no way it just started from that big old fight a couple months ago. They've been having some issues for a little bit.
Oh yeah, I mean, I remember with Jason McIntyre, who's now an amazing co-host with Colin Cowherd.
Straight Fire Pod. Go check that out.
And I remember, that was 6 years ago, where I remember reading an article, and I brought it up on the show, where Giselle begged him to retire after he beat Seattle. That was 6 years ago. So I guess looking back, it's not so surprising, especially, just with how. Oh, by the way, do you know what media people need to be ashamed of themselves, and actually people ran with this? Do you remember when the rumors were that he was going to be on The Masked Singer?
Oh, yeah.
And this whole time it was literally just him having a bad marriage problem. Well,
yeah.
People need to be called out for that ridiculous, stupid rumor and actually running with it. That is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen.
They're not gonna, because that's just I could tweet out a rumor right now, and if the algorithm works its way, I could write an art, or we could start something right now. I mean, with the way it goes, like the algorithm and all that. People are gonna share it because they see, oh, it spreads like wildfire. I mean, that's pretty obvious. But for rumors and social media are a horrible combination.
Yep.
I mean, I'm like, why would Brady care about Masked Singer? Why?
I think it's the rumor started on Reddit and people just picked it up. Of
course it was
and
Reddit.
Ran with it like wildfire. And like it was I've never seen anything like that. It's ridiculous. And I feel bad for Brady that was like a rumor and it was just oh God.
And too, and Brady hasn't been, Tom Brady, that we've been like last year. Like he stepped down a little bit. But what I can say is maybe this, like, he's not got the, because clearly there was some horrible tension, and maybe she didn't like him also signing the Fox deal, and that's because Fox is gonna be doing all the big games, all that. He's gonna be traveling. Like I think after retirement, Giselle just wanted to live life with Tom Brady, and
he wanted football more.
Yeah. He cares about the game of football more than her. Football's treated him very well.
Yeah.
So,
what else? Literally, you're right. There's nothing else to say about that.
Football's literally treated him probably the best that anything or anyone has treated him in his life. He is crazy.
Yeah. It's just crazy how I just cannot believe. Like, you got to respect the guy. He loves football more than literally anything in his life. It's just
super weird.
God. It's a shame. I feel bad for Giselle. I really feel bad for her because I guarantee she's been asking to retire for 8 years now and he doesn't want to. He did retire. Then it's funny because remember during the summer, like he retired, then he's like, I don't think I'm not having fun right now. I'm going to go back to football. It's just unbelievable.
He was like, I don't like this family stuff.
Yeah.
But, I kind of feel bad for both of them here because, like, Giselle, her intentions were very clear that, look, I just want, I want, me and TB12 to go, enjoy, live their lives. They didn't need to work, do anything. They could just travel. Like, they are filthy rich.
Yeah.
And, even Brady, Brady probably have, like, sponsorships and, he'd have ways of making some money. Like, he could literally travel the world if he wanted to after this with Giselle. But Brady, but for Brady, the reason I feel bad for him is because he's a hustler. It seems he loves to work. He loves the game of football, and ruining the game that he loves so much and that's treated him so well, ruining his family life. He had, him and Giselle had kids, all that, ruining, having that happen. I have to feel bad for both of them here, man. I can't even pick a side. Yeah. Because it's just a horrible situation all around. And you have to wonder with this, that now they're not fighting constantly and it's, they both got their lawyers. Is Brady going to be more at ease on the football field?
Oh, that's the thing. I think he's playing till 50 now. What's stopping him?
Yeah, true.
And that's the thing too. I want to see him in the booth. I was ready for him to be in the booth.
Me too.
Play-by-play.
Because I'm trying to remember who I said this to, but it might have been Ben. Or someone on Twitter, but most of these great players, they don't pan out in the booth.
Brady will work. I guarantee.
Brady, because Brady, like that's the best athlete on the planet, especially in the NFL. What he's done over 25 years. You can't deny it. Rob Parker, I don't even think he believes his Brady. Like, I think he's just a hater. Like, he can admit.
That's a shtick. No, it's a shtick. Yeah. He doesn't believe what he says. That's a shtick.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
I think it is too. You can't, like, he's in a Papa Bear too, another Brady hater. Ryan, the Twitch guy. McBain. I think he's worse than Rob Parker, actually. For Brady.
He's a Raider fan, so I get it.
Yeah.
It just comes with the territory.
Yep, exactly. So, yeah, Brady's, him and Giselle are officially done. It sucks, but for Brady, he can do whatever he wants now. For Giselle, she's probably, let's be real, she's going to find another famous guy.
Oh, yeah, and he's going to find a famous girl, too, so it's going to be odd.
It is going to be odd because, we all expected with this. I wonder, like, how that's going to work, too, with all the money because they're two rich people, and it's good. And like it's none of our business, but it's going to be public. I mean, which you have to feel bad. I mean, too, a little bit, because like all the financial crap's probably going to get out there too. Yeah. It's not just going to be they got divorced and, you know, all that, and like all the custody. Like it's, I mean, I get, you know, with this being like a famous player, you kind of expect it, you know, to get out there, but it does suck to see that all it's going to, like all this, you know, his hate, you know, all his business is going to get out there. I mean, that kind of sucks, but that's then again, that's the territory of media. So,
you know what's interesting? I hope Giselle made Brady sign a prenup because she's the breadwinner somehow in that. I mean, you know, blatantly the breadwinner in that relationship, even though Brady is the most popular, best quarterback of all time. That's what's crazy.
Agreed. Yeah. So this has been Blindside Sports. If you guys enjoyed this show, be sure to show it some love. Nick, man, this was fun, and I'm sure we're going to do this again because we just went on for 10 or 2 hours. So we're going to do this again.
I feel like we should have got paid.
Right? I feel like we both should have got paid. No. I feel like someone should sign us. Some crappy radio station in like Nebraska or something. We could be like the number one show over there. Not really. I mean,
I agree.
But I mean, Nebraska's so small. I think even I think anybody could. But Nick, it was fun working with you, man. Hope to do it again. Thanks for watching the stream.
Absolutely. Thank you, Emmett.